Hello, here we go. Here's our next project in creating art over 70, brought to you by signed Rufus. This particular piece, we're going to try to do another still life piece, but we're going to do it in color. I just finished a piece in these three colors, the colors yellow, red, and green. I just completed my very first large piece, 16 by 26. I think it was 16 by 26, somewhere around there. But anyway, it was really challenging, and I loved working with those colors. And so I, I wanted to continue working with those particular colors for a little more time, put a little bit more time in it to see what I can come up with, because they seem to blend relatively well. So for this particular piece, I'm going to start with this kind of a purplish background. So it's gonna I'm use it to handle the dark areas, the background, and so I can bring the floral piece to pop. Okay, so here, let's take a look at the reference here. Move my face out the way. Okay, so this is the reference we'll be working with right here. It is it's a nice little piece. It's just a floral piece. It's a flower that's actually out on my patio outside. And so I took this reference, and so I want to try to capture this and see if I could get it to really be as vivid as this particular photo, at least in the red areas. So I'm really going to be focusing on the red area here, the details in the leafy areas around it, a little bit of the succulent background here, and maybe way back in the background in here. If you can see the cursor there in that area. And then over here, just put some, subtle leafy green backgrounds in here. And I might just leave this section here in the far left, upper left corner, maybe just purple, or, maybe blend it with some of the other colors just to give it some sort of a transition or composition. Okay, so that's what we're going to get into. So what I think I want to do, first of all, is just to start laying in the piece. So when you're looking at the reference here, I'm going to try to just move it down, keep the actual flowery part and succulent parts I'm trying to capture only in this section here of the paper. I'm using pastel matte paper again for this particular piece, and I really like it. It seems to work real well with my style, and I'm using I'm using pan pastels. I'm going to use some soft pastels, and I'll be using quite a few pencil pastels to really try to make the detail pop. So once again, I'm using only three colors: green, red, and yellows, or yellow, red, and green, however you want to say it. And of course, utilizing the complementary color of a velvet or purplish color as the background. All right, here we go. Let's just try to lay this in here. Let me pause. Okay, welcome back. Couple things I was able to accomplish while away. One, I was able to get the royalty-free, no copyright music station implemented, which is kind of cool. And I found some nice jazz to put in the background, so I can, as I paint, you'll be able to listen to some music instead of just watching, being kind of bored. Hopefully you enjoyed the music selection I selected. I enjoy it, but anyway, I hope you do also. And what's so really cool about it is, like, when I'm speaking, the sound goes down, the music goes down. When I stop, then the music should come back up. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I think that should do it. I'm peeking out in the red there when I came on there for a second. So now, anyway, let's get back to business here. I'm going to turn off the face here. And so what you see going on here now is I've gotten it pretty much filled in. While away, I took the liberty to just hit this a little bit more in this area here, to try to darken it, define it, and start implementing what's into the background. Because if you see in the piece here, see if I can get this mouse over here to do this. So what you see in the piece here, in the background here, right here, is I don't know if you're seeing this. I'm not sure if you're seeing this at all. Well, anyway, in this section here is like really a pole in the background. This is inside of a flower pot, a big flower pot, where I have plants growing, and I have a umbrella post concreted underneath the pan, in a big pot, cemented in for the weight, and plants around it. And so what we have going on here is just a little bit of that pole kind of shining, coming through in the reference image, and I'm going to capture it just as background, not necessarily as a pole. Okay, so anyway, that's where we are. So let me pause for a second here. Okay, so let's continue on. What I'm going to try to do while I'm working on this piece and enjoying the music in the background, when I'm really not speaking a lot, I'm going to try to mute the mic, so you'll just be listening to the music in the background. And I'm doing that, so I'm painting a little earlier, and my wife is moving around. So in order to not have to capture some of that, we'll just mute the mic. Okay, so what we'll do here now, we'll just mute the mic. So what I'm going to try to do in this recording is I'm going to work around the leaf a little more and try to define it and bring it in. And then once I define this outline and bring it in, then I think I'll try to maybe move a little bit here into the background, succulent, and then maybe to some of the stringy plants that are growing there. These are actually flowers themselves, but what it is these are the leafy part of the flower, and up top is a really nice purple flower. But anyway, let's work on this. So I get this stuff in here, coming in. See, it kind of goes around. Yeah, so what I'm really trying to do is just capture the look and feel of the plant. Let's get some of the colors in the area where they are, and then once I've accomplished that, then I'll Okay, I'm gonna turn off the mic. So go ahead and enjoy the music. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm just trying to build the form of the leaves in here real quick, so I can really get a good feel for the direction that the piece is going. So far, it's working really nice. I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing so far. The Everything seems to be working smoothly. Okay. Um, okay. I think I have accomplished quite a bit with just the pan pastels and maybe a couple of bit of soft pastels in here. I'm thinking that I should start to try to refine it and get a little bit more detail in it. Um, and I think I'm gonna move to the pencils. I could tinker more to get the picture to pop out, to come out a little more, to be so you can see a little more detail, so to start to really take shape with the pan pastels. However, I want to move this along a little faster, even though I'm still learning. All this is always a learning process. You enjoy it, but you still want to try to keep it not too lengthy, not too long, because you want to get some of those rewards, that gratification that you get when you finish a piece. So I think I'm gonna pause here, stop here, take a little break for a minute, step back, look at the piece, and see where I am with it, and then come back and start to refine it a little bit more. Uh, Probably with a combination of pans and pencil. I'm gonna change this tip. This tip here is rounded, and so I was using it, on the different colors, the yellow, the green, and the red. I was just using it on to try to lay in the largest forms and try to break it down into a little more of the smaller forms and shapes, um, which shows a little bit more detail. So even at this particular point right here, I can really see that it is starting to take shape and become the flower or the story or the painting I'm trying to present or to get to. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here on this part, and then we'll come back a little later, maybe a little later today, or and start to refine it a little bit more with detail, to get that detail in there. What you see me doing is it's like I'm not focusing on one little piece and to its completed and then work out. I'm trying to gradually grow the whole piece out at the same time for the detail creation. I've done that years ago, and I remember what happened is I would start with a certain area and I'd focus on the detail, and I'm like, oh, let me get it to it's almost finished, right? And I'm like, no, and then I'd go out and then I'd have all types of problems trying to keep the proportions correct, and pushing me into what I've already had, and it was more work than just laying it out and working the proportions in as I go. So what you realize, I mean, what you should have been able to see when I was doing this piece is I was just laying stuff down, trying to capture the largest shapes that I could, and then from those larger shapes start to bring in more of the detail. And it's just sculpting and sculpting and sculpting and painting as I go. Okay, so